Please remember to subscribe and share this video to help disabled animals with donated wheelchairs. This is a review for my new trail cam, the Campark T40. It's actually my favorite camera that I'm using currently. It takes up to 14 megapixel photos and 1080p videos at 25 frames per second. Now that's really important because a lot of the cameras will only take them up to 15 frames per second, and also the 1080p is really only extrapolated or expanded 720p. This actually does the full size at 25 frames per second. So let's take a look at what we get here. It comes in this box here. Got it on Amazon for around $50. And comes packed right in this little folder here. Manual. Comes in many different languages. You get a strap, which basically puts it around a tree, goes through these little holes there, and a USB cord. And also, I think this is used mostly when people are using this in barns or inside houses and such, where it has a nice little swivel retainer, and this has like drywall retaining bolts. So this, I think, is more for security purposes. It's nice to have. And that's the end of this right here. One of the nice things about this is a wide angle lens. Now, in this particular camera, the sensor is about 110 degrees, and this is about 100 degrees. So it starts the detection process a little sooner, so you actually will see the item entering your picture a little sooner than you would with a lot of other cameras. It says that it's about half a second for photos and about 0.85 for video, and that seems about right. It uses a micro SD card, and haven't really tested it for the waterproofing, as I like to put mine inside enclosures to prevent the weather getting to it, mostly to kind of keep the weather off the lens is the reason why I'll do that. This is a near infrared, which basically says that you'll see little like a pink glow here. So for security purposes, people will be able to see that. Animals don't seem to care very much at all. In fact, a lot of times they don't even care if it's a white light. Far infrared is completely invisible. This is the near, so there'll be a little bit of a pink glow on this. So the resolution for the photos is they have 1, 3, and 5, and 8, and 14 megapixel size. And as far as the videos, it goes all the way down to 340 by some size. I usually don't use that much. I like using the 1080 on this particular camera. The 720 might work out okay, but I like the fact that this will actually do a real 1080, where a lot of my cameras just will not be able to do that. So it's a little bit on the smaller size than some of the other ones. It's pretty lightweight. The batteries go in this little compartment right here. I put 8 in there. It can work on 4, but you can use the 8. And has a pretty large size screen for doing the programming on here. You just put this into setup mode like this. And you go through the menu. And through it does all the things that you normally get in a camcorder. One of the things that we'll notice on here is that you can do a time-lapse. Now, that only really works when you set it in daylight. It will not do time-lapse at night, but it gives you, gosh, you can take one picture every hour, all kinds of different settings on that. Some people will do that for looking at a flower blooming or something like that, or they're not particularly thinking that there's going to be any type of motion for motion detection, and so they just get watch the progress of maybe a crew doing some farming and just kind of see how things are going on during that time. You basically go up and down, and the screen is really easy to read and manipulate these controls right here. I'm going to go ahead and shut that off. Now, One of the things that this actually has that's nice is determining the video length. And the video length can be from 1 to 60 seconds in 1 second increments, and then from 1 minute to 10 minutes in 1 minute increments. This comes in pretty handy for when you're doing things like I'm doing for looking for wildlife, not necessarily looking for hunting, but looking to watch behavior of different animals. A lot of the cameras will actually only do up to 15 seconds sometimes, and that is essentially just looking to identify the animal, and whereas you're not going to be able to tell much behavior. Now, the reason why they use such a short time, it does eat up the battery, especially at night. The infrared bulbs do take up, the LEDs do take up a lot of energy, and you can actually burn the camera out in a month if it's just constantly taking pictures. This also has a variable shot lag, so basically the camera needs to reset itself in between taking photos and taking videos. In this particular camera, it's a 5 to 60 seconds, and then switches over to 1 to 60 minutes. So if you have a lot of activity where you're seeing a herd of something going through, you may want to set this to maybe only reset itself every minute or longer. In my particular case, I like it to be as short as possible because I'm looking for all the behavior, and I go out to the cameras every day. So if I burn out a set of batteries, I'm okay with that because I'd rather have all the shots that the camera is able to give me. This also has the target recording time. So you can set this up for, say, example, that it starts recording at 7 o'clock at night and shuts off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it'll repeat itself constantly. So it's not doing things all day long, and it's only shooting at night if that's what you're asking it to do. And I think I mentioned before, the time-lapse, it really only works does not work at night, only works in the daytime. If you try to use time-lapse where this is constantly flashing, you'd be burning up the batteries pretty fast. This takes a 32 gigabyte, up to 32 gigabyte micro SD card. You can have AV out if you have a cable for that, and this is where the USB cable goes on here. I pretty much just go ahead and download things through this cable because I bring this into the house. Many people just swap out the SD card with another one and just leave it out in the field. So next I'll show you one of the pictures this takes, or videos at night. Really impressed. This is a 1080p. Now I'm going to be showing this on YouTube, so whatever YouTube converts it down to, you may not notice, but you'll be able to see there's plenty of light and the motion is pretty smooth, which is pretty amazing for a camera in the $50 range. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Please go ahead and post them in the comments below. Please remember to subscribe and share this video to help disabled animals with donated wheelchairs.